Hello and welcome back to the colony with Man of the Antz. So something I am quite excited about today. Today we are checking out Dirt Rally 2.0, which is finally after many months of waiting, had its VR update. Now I should say this is actually the second time I've recorded this. The first time I had some issues. I'm using the G27 steering wheel. I had some issues where the drivers weren't set up properly, so a lot of stuff wasn't working, and I moaned about a lot of stuff, which in retrospect turns out to be the fact the wheel just wasn't configured correctly on my PC, so I've had to take all that back. There are, however, a number of general issues around the optimization of the game, and a bit of a spoiler alert for how my overall impressions of the game. The VR is really nice, it works really well, but it is crowbarred in. I believe it was actually handed over to a third-party company to implement the VR. If you recall, when Dirt 2 came out, Codemasters had no intention of doing VR, and after much pressure from its fans and VR enthusiasts, relented and said it would add it at a later date. And that does kind of show. And the first place you can see it show is right here, where they've done what I call the sort of the cop-out VR menu, where they put the normal game menu on a floating screen. So there's nothing around you. You could be sat in a garage. You could have something. So, yeah. So overall, they should have been planning VR from the beginning. It's meant to be a racing sim of some form, although not like, full on. But it is supposed to be relatively simish compared to the Dirt games prior to Dirt. And yeah, why VR wasn't in there from the very beginning is an absolute mystery, But here we are, so we'll take a quick look at the game. So to start with, what are we going to do? Let's have a look at a free play. Let's start just a custom race. We'll create a custom championship. We'll add an event. Where haven't I been yet? Oh, New Zealand? I'll have a go at New Zealand, yeah. Surface, that's all fine. The class, I don't want to go too crazy, because if you go too crazy, you really are going to struggle a little bit, aren't you? And I'm starting to get into a little bit crazy territory. Oh, that's not... yeah, let's go with the Peugeot 208. And then, yes. Oh, confirm at the bottom. I see it now. Yeah, I have done this all before, and I'm struggling. And let's go for the Peugeot 208. I like the little Peugeot 208. So, I do have the G27 steering wheel. I am not very good with the G27 steering wheel, so don't be expecting too much from this. I bought the G27 steering wheel years ago. Oh, it's dark. I should probably look at the race options. And it's raining. This is going to go horribly. I bought it years ago with the intention of getting really into racing games. And I do love racing games, and I bought it with the intention of getting really into them and getting good with the wheel to improve my general performance in racing games. What I did with it was I played a lot of Euro Truck Simulator. And I mean I played a lot of Euro Truck Simulator, including in VR. Is that just going to go on forever? Seems to be. Okay. So let's just start. I have no intention of tuning my vehicle or anything like that. So it has changed all the controls I set yesterday, because it's reset them all to what they should be.
And 3 left long and 5 right long.
So I don't actually know what handbrake is, which is going to ask me to hold in now. And it's going to say something like button 19. Nope. What did I just do? Oh, no, that was it. That was it. Going into the game. Yeah. All right, it is that one.
3, 2.
All right, here we go.
1. Go. 30.
And it is on automatic, isn't it? Yes.
And 5 right long.
Just so I don't have to
30.
worry too much about anything. So it's a bit awkward that it's actually a nighttime race. I haven't seen a nighttime race, so it's quite nice seeing that actually. But yeah, it probably doesn't highlight the game at its best in terms of the overall graphics.
6 right.
And so I have had to drop the settings down to medium. When I loaded the game up, it defaulted to ultra settings, because it probably looked at my stuff and said, oh, if you were playing this on a monitor, you would be playing on ultra. But I've had to drop it down to medium, and I'm still running in ASW. Or is that what the... Oh, that's a much tighter corner than I thought. Is that what the Steam version is called? Is it ASW?
Opens 50.
Honestly, no idea. But where it runs at half the frame rate, essentially. So rather than the 120 of the index by default, it runs at 60. So it probably looks great to you guys, but it's just not quite as smooth
6 right long
as you might like. Now, one of the things about trying to play a rally game
slow, 4 left of a crest.
and record it at the same time is that you really cannot pay any attention to your co-driver. I was going to say co-pilot.
4 left.
So it does have the icons on the screen. I would normally immediately disable those to make it a bit more realistic.
Right of a crest.
But as I am
To 1 left tightens.
obviously talking over everything he says and paying no attention, it is slightly helpful to have
50.
those there.
Flat middle of a crest.
The rest of the HUD is just about visible. I can't really make out the numbers on the top right one there, like the leaderboard, but it gives me a good gist, I guess. And same with the progress ladder on the left. I can't really see the numbers.
Into
Well, I suppose the numbers at the top I can see, the 0150 as it's just changed to, but I can't really see what it says
into
on the
1
progress bar. Is that something leader? I'm not paying any attention, so I just crashed. And I think the track's over here, yes. At least I got that right, that's something. So,
left long. 30.
I'm trying to press all the buttons, because one of these buttons, and we've just crashed again, one of these buttons turns the lights off, I'm pretty sure. There it is. That's terrifying.
Puncher at the front.
Oh, it might be. That's bad news, isn't it?
And 1 right long.
I mean, there's a challenge for you guys who are actually good at games.
Flat of a crest.
Do a rally race in the pitch black. Not for me, though.
5 left. Extra.
I think you can also turn your wipers off, but
into 6 right.
I don't know if that'll actually have much of an impact or not.
30. Small cut. 5 left of a crest bump. 50.
So yeah, yesterday when I was playing, a lot of the buttons weren't working on the... that puncture's doing me in.
And keep left of a 50.
I can do a roadside
2 left long
repair.
tightens.
What button was that? Was it up, was it? Got to stop fully? Yeah, I can't see what that says. Yes? I think it's done it. Oh, it has. Nice. So obviously we've taken a bit of a penalty for that, but that's fine. I probably won't do the whole race because we're already, almost halfway through, so we are quite far behind.
Into 3 right. 30.
In terms of finishing the race. So we'll get just over halfway,
Small cut. 3 left.
and then we'll start another race, and we'll try and get one in the sun and in the... I was going to say in the sun and in the day. That doesn't make any sense, does it? In the day and with clear skies.
Left of a crest.
So you can see what it looks like. That kind of weird blue crash effect. That tint that comes over everything's a little bit weird, isn't it?
Crest tightens.
Don't know that I'm a big fan of that.
And 6 right. Into 6 left long. Tightens 4 of a crest.
I'm concentrating a lot now, so I've gone kind of silent. But I will stop this in a moment, but I'm kind of feeling like I'm in a bit of a zone.
Don't cut.
I'm sure Kapil was very excited when he saw that I had
2 left long.
the G27. Oh, the zone's disappeared.
Right long.
So I'm sure Kapil is watching me going, mate, all the things you could be doing differently here.
Into 6 left.
Oh, so one thing I should say, the first issue I had with Dirt 2 yesterday when I started was I'd boot up the game and it would... Oh, that's wrong. That's fine. We'll leave it there. Hello. Where's the pause button? Where's the pause button? There it is. Yes, so I would start the game up and I would have a black screen in the index. I would have audio from the game, but there would be nothing in the index and nothing on the on-screen display. If I took the headset off, it would come up on the on-screen display saying you've taken your headset off. Or occasionally it wouldn't show that and it would just show the game. But as soon as you put the headset back on, black screen. So if you get that issue with your index, I don't know if it applies to other headsets, but if you get that with your index, it's because you're using the Steam beta, the Steam VR beta. So you need to opt out of the beta and go on the standard... Oh, Wales, hello. Go on the standard stable release. That's the words I'm looking for. You want the stable release for Steam VR. Otherwise, yeah, you will struggle a little bit. What are we going with here? Shall we go up a little bit? We'll go for that one, shall we? All right, how do I change stage options? It's one of these buttons. Is it this? No. Is it this? No. What's the stage options? So do I just click on it? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, night, heavy rain, wet surface. No, thank you. I would like a daytime, clear, dry surface. Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, so that is the main issue to be aware of with this at the moment. A couple of other things. If you are playing it on Steam and you have the Oculus headset, it will not work very well. The Steam VR version of the game does not support the Oculus SDK. So if you have an Oculus headset and you've been wanting to play this and you already own the game, you are now largely expected to buy it again from the Oculus store to get Oculus implementation, which is obviously pretty terrible. Hopefully they'll sort that out and put Oculus SDK support on the Steam version, but who knows? Who knows? I wouldn't rely on it unless they specifically say it's a mistake and they'll fix it soon. And as far as I'm aware, they haven't done that. So yeah, that's something else to be aware of. I'm sure it was skipping that automatically yesterday. The other thing to be aware of, if we just pop down into the options and we go into input and we go into the steering wheel and we go through all of the options here. Now, there was a patch that applied today, but I didn't see it actually saying doing any fixes for anything. So hopefully this isn't going to make a fool out of me. But if you're a bit of a VR gamer, what you may have noticed isn't in this menu is to reset your view. There is no button to map reset view to a button on your controller. Which is mental, which is absolutely mental for a VR game. So the only way you can reset the view, so if you need to recenter if you've moved or if the game doesn't put you where it thinks you should be, the only way to reset view is to actually get into the car, which I think we can do from when it does this screen here, yes, and then you can hit reset view here. That is the only way of doing it. As I say, that's kind of mental. I didn't really get a good chance to see where I was in terms of my centering. I'm pretty good, actually. I'm pretty good. I'm happy with that.
5, 4.
All right, let's do this, buddy.
2, 1, go. Into 5 right of a crest, 80, 4 left.
See, I have seen a couple of people say that they are getting a little bit
4 left
of VR sickness from the game, and I think you can probably see one of the things that I think is the cause for that there,
into 2 right long,
which is when you go up or downhill,
into 3 left,
the car bonnet goes up or down, but your view doesn't change that much.
into 2 left long, tightens.
Which a little bit is what you'd expect to happen in a car, but I think there's probably a slightly lazy implementation gone on there somewhere, because I would expect,
long, tightens of a crest.
like if you are going uphill, you don't suddenly have your dashboard occlude in half of your vision as is happening here, because that's ridiculous. If you're going uphill, your head just naturally inclines because it stays parallel with the car. So yeah, oh hello. Wasn't expecting that.
Big crest.
So you probably saw there's a little bit of judder that come in there. So I might try doing after this actually, is dropping the settings down to low and seeing what happens there. And so now, actually Wales isn't a great idea. I did say like sunny clear skies, didn't I?
Into 4 right.
Or did I just say dry and it's like, well it's Wales so it's going to be cloudy. So now you get the other issue that I have with the graphics in the game. I don't know if this is limited to VR or if it's in the main pancake version of the game, or if you'd even notice it in the pancake version of the game. But you can see that there's just a lot of washing out. Well, I say you can see, I can see. I don't know if you're seeing exactly the same thing as me. You should be, because it's coming from the Steam VR headset mirror. But you can see there's just a lot of, and I'll pick a very nice sunny one next. I think Australia I played yesterday, and it was like it's almost like it's a glare, but a really badly implemented glare. So you can see that there's a sort of a distance fog in effect. But yeah, the more I sort of lean back, the more you get this just sort of white overall glare. This is a good place to see it. You can see it there. It looks like almost there's a fog. But if you sort of lean forward, it disappears a little bit. Actually, this is a bad place to show you because that doesn't happen there. So yeah, so the distance, I don't know if that's to do with the settings because I've dropped it down to medium, or if it is something to do with the VR implementation, but yeah, we'll try that in, hello.
6 left over crest past junction.
We'll try that in Australia or something like that in a second and see if we can get it to do a bit more what I saw yesterday. Maybe, like I said, that there was an additional patch that came out today, so maybe they did something there. But you can see there's kind of this, yeah, it's just kind of like this pulsing white haze in the background. Like that, it just doesn't look... I'm pointing with my fingers now, assuming you can see them, because obviously you can't. But it just doesn't look... This is supposed to be the middle of the day, and a nice clear dry day, and you've got just this weird white haze everywhere. And I suppose it looks sort of like it fits in Wales because it's cloudy, so you could say, oh, maybe it's a bit of a foggy day. You know, that could be reasonable.
6 left.
But when you're in Australia and it's blazing sun,
Keep middle of a crest.
it's a little bit different.
4 right of a crest. Bump. 100. 6 right. 80.
I'm focusing. Oh, it's actually a fairly short track, so we'll get through this whole track.
5 right long.
So we'll see how we do compare to.
Jump. 100.
Oh my word!
Tight tape in right.
Oh, there we go. There's a roll in VR. Wonderful. And tight hairpin right.
1 left long. Opens 2 long.
That's a very frustrating bar there, isn't it?
60.
Well, I don't know how I was doing, but that's definitely scuppered my chances a bit, hasn't it? At least I didn't get a puncture this time, though, so that's something.
Opens long. Tightens jump.
I also don't have a proper chair to play this in,
Tightens through water
which is a little bit annoying. So I'm just in my normal office chair,
Tightens through gate. Opens over crest 60. 5 left.
and so it's kind of a little bit uncomfortable. My chair's as low as it'll go.
Crest.
I'm kind of sat at a very 90 degrees angle.
4 left long. Opens over crest to stop. Well done.
Oh, we got through it. That's something. Oh, I smashed that mirror. I did say this yesterday. There's a lot of things I said yesterday that I'm probably not going to say this time because I've probably
Stage was
forgotten
tough,
that.
But it felt fast.
I thought it felt okay. Well, most of it anyway. But I do like the fact it's got working mirrors. Particularly in VR, even though it's not really the sort of game. Oh, I was second from last. That's not bad, is it? I was only 2 seconds. Oh no, I was 9, 10, 11 seconds off the next one. And then 20, yeah. Not great, but there we go. Could be a lot worse, couldn't it? I do like it's got working mirrors. Working mirrors obviously have very little purpose in VR. But, in rally games. You don't really need mirrors in rally games. But I do like the fact that they have working mirrors. It's something that's very easy to not do, to just say, we're not going to bother with mirrors. Why would we bother with mirrors? But I like that it's there. So I said we'd do Australia, so we'll do Australia. We will do... What haven't we done yet? We haven't done that one. It's not a slightly older one. Let's. Where did we get to? We got to there, didn't we? Let's go there. We'll go for the. We'll go for the Skoda Fabia. Fabio. Event settings. Nope. No. Oh, you can just click on it, don't you? Yes. I would. Where's the distance? There's the distance. So you can see some of them, yeah, are relatively long, but then there's a couple which are 3.28 miles. So that's just a reverse of... let's do the ascent. Daytime, clear, dry. So I would have picked clear then. Definitely didn't pick. So yeah, that was the game's version of clear. I would like a little bit more, I think, there. And in a lot of games, you do get to pick whether it's like, you know... Why is it cloudy, wet? Why can't you have cloudy with a dry surface? That's entirely possible. So I'd like to see a bit more like of options like that in it, but I suppose that's not going to happen purely because the game's been out for several months now, and if they're going to add that sort of stuff in, probably would already be here. If you haven't played Dirt 2, if you haven't looked at the Steam page, I was a little bit shocked to see, because I only picked the game up yesterday when this was released with VR finally. I was a little bit shocked to see that the reviews for the game from the user reviews on Steam are not actually that good. There are a lot of complaints about it being very DLC heavy, and a lot of tracks which people feel should have been in the game to start with aren't there. So if you want what would probably class as the full experience, you have to buy the digital Super Edition, Deluxe Edition, whatever, and that is £65 or £67, something like that. That's quite a lot of money. That's quite... The base game, I think, was 45. Oh no, the base game was 40? 45? No, 40, and then I think the season pack is 20 on top. So yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to be spending on a game. So yeah, and also a game that I might not get a huge amount of use out of, unfortunately.
Starts 50. 6 left 30, turns.
So I'd love to play a lot of it,
Good luck.
but I don't know if I'm actually going to get to play a lot of it. If you would like to see more, I should say this now, because I usually say this at the end, but I'll do it now while I'm talking about it. If you would like to... This is just poorly implemented VR. Why have I got to look at... Oh, hold up. Hold up. I am feeling like I am way too far. forward in this one. So let's reset the view. I was putting it a little bit higher, actually. What I found yesterday was when I reset the view, it put me too far back. So when I looked down, I was looking into the body of the driver I was inhabiting. But that actually looks a lot better.
50, 6 left, 30.
So if you would like to see more of this, because this is just a... I wasn't paying any attention immediately. If you would like to see more of this, this is just going to be a quick look to start with. But if you'd like to see me attempt a season, if you are Kapil, if you would like to attempt to school me in the ways of VR sim driving, then let me know in the comments. As always, if there's enough interest, I'm always happy to play more of a game. Well, I'll rephrase that. I'll be very clear if I'm not happy to play more of a game. If I'm not enjoying a game and I don't want to play anymore, I'll tell you that. That's not a problem. I have no quibbles about telling you that I'm going to stop playing something because I don't enjoy it, even if people are enjoying watching it. Well, I suppose that doesn't really apply to horror games, which I do force myself to play through once I started them, despite the fact that they are horrible. Oh, we can go through that fence. Wonderful.
Crest and jump through narrow gate.
The other thing that I quite liked about the VR implementation is that you do have the option, it's disabled by default, but you do have the option of enabling the other views, so like the bumper view, I suppose, and the rear car view, chasing view, of unlocking those for use in VR. You know, I quite like that. I did actually play a little bit of Project Cars in third person, so in the chase camera view, with a 360 controller, and I didn't mind it. It was quite a nice way of playing it, I found. Obviously, with the steering wheel, you're always going to want to be in car.
Into 6 right. Into 2 left tightens.
But yeah, so I like that was an option, because it was one of the things I sort of complained about, that you couldn't change the view, and then I looked in the options a bit later on and realised that you could, it's just disabled by default.
30.
So this might be a bit of a bad car to show off this kind of haze effect, because you do have this like anti-glare strip at the top, which is kind of negating the kind of things I wanted to show you. But it doesn't look as bad as it did yesterday again. So there still just seems to be just a general white haze. Maybe I just need to turn the brightness settings down a little bit. Maybe that's all it is. But yeah, to describe the issues I was having yesterday, you can kind of see it there. It kind of shows off a little bit there. So if I'm looking through the bottom of the window, the sky essentially looks like a uniform colour. It's very hard to even make out where the clouds are. Looking through this like strip at the top, it's very easy to see there is a cloud and there's a bit of sky, but it's very washed out in its sort of default views.
30, crest.
So yeah, I do think it does look a little bit just washed out. Just, yeah, white. There's too much whiteness to it. I mean, aside from that, it looks, you know... Oh, hello, where am I going? That way. Aside from that, it looks banging. You know, the interior of this car, I don't know what this material is on the dashboard, but the textures on it look brilliant.
30.
The track itself looks great. The foliage looks awesome. I would love to have it running at some slightly higher settings, but I'd also love to have it running at 120 hertz, so you know. You take what you can get, I suppose. I'll take medium settings on 60 hertz if that's all I've got. I could try setting the Oculus, the index to 90 hertz to see if the game could handle 90 hertz, because obviously it can't handle 120, so it's dropped to 60, but maybe it could do... Hello? Maybe it could do 90. Oh, I didn't realise there's in reverse. There we go.
2 right long, tighten square right of a crest.
And if you are into these sort of games, I'm not the best advertisement for it, but if you are into these sort of games, a steering wheel just adds so much. I mean, I know that this is obviously going very bad at the moment, but I'm still very much enjoying it. We have already finished the track there, so that will not impact on my time. Yeah, and the steering wheel, it just adds so much to the game. It's great. The detail on this co-pilot guy is brilliant as well.
But it felt fast.
It probably wasn't very fast, if I had to guess. No, 20th. And a full 20 seconds. I didn't think I was that slow. But again, I am talking a lot as I'm trying to play, which is Always a problem. Always a problem. So the game does obviously have an actual campaign mode, as it were. You may have just noticed it on the title screen as we started. So if we come over to My Team here, you got these events, which is where you got your actual career. So it does have your standard rally career. It does seem to change each time. Like it says there, the next stage is New England. When I started it yesterday, one of them was in Australia. Started it another time, one of them was in somewhere else. So that's sort of a bit odd, really. You do have a rally cost career, and then you do have these daily challenges as well, just to keep the game fresh and interesting. I think there are weeklies as well, yeah, and there's a monthly as well there, yeah. So it does have these challenges to really, just add a little bit more to the game once you've completed your own rally career, which isn't, it's nice. At least they do something to try and keep it a bit interesting. But let's not worry about that for now. Let's, in fact, no, let's go back a second. What is in garage and staff? I didn't look at them.
You can view the vehicles.
You can tell because the guy's not doing the voiceover.
Or buy and sell the cars that are available to you.
Why do I want to buy cars when I own all of those cars? That would be my question. How much is the most expensive car? Well, it's going to be very hard to tell because they're not in price order as I expected them to be. But about 300,000, and getting the deluxe super edition of the game netted me 1.2 million credits. So what's the difference between used and... I don't know. Like, why would you not... What's the difference? That's weird. Oh, there's some 400,000 ones there. Oh, that's the Aston Martin. Oh my word, that's beefy. The Mustang GT4 looks sweet. Yeah, it's about 400. 637 for a Citroen. 650 for the Skoda Fabia. So nothing too crazy. Anyway, so let's pop out of here. And let's have a look at the staff.
In the staff area, you can hire new team members or train up your existing crew.
I mean, I don't know what any of them do. Also, that reduces the penalty when replacing a wheel, reduces the penalty when resetting your vehicle back on track. That's quite nice. Allows recovery of your vehicle back to the service area after any type of terminal damage. Okay, so I don't know what money you start off with in the game normally. So obviously this looks like... I mean, I could buy so much with this stuff. I could get a fully upgraded team. I don't know how much it costs once you start to upgrade them, I suppose. Reduces the requirements needed to reach research targets for engine upgrades. Maybe I will start the USA Championship one, because I will show you where you can upgrade the vehicles and everything. Increases the accuracy of repair diagnostics. That's very nice. Reduces the times. We could buy another engineer. I don't know what that achieves, but we can get another engineer. Okay, in that case, let's go into here. And let's start off a new rally. Now, what I don't know here, what's not very clear to me is, because obviously you're saying I'll start a new rally. If I go into championship options, that's not really what I wanted. Difficulty settings? No. It doesn't... One thing it doesn't really tell you is what class it is. Like, I don't know if I picked, for example... Well, that's a pretty good one. So if I picked this Lancia here, 115 brake horsepower, 4 speed, would I be racing against a 550 Audi Quattro? Or does the vehicle I select determine the class that I'll be racing in? So that's something I'm really not sure on. Really not sure how that works. That looks sweet. I love that black Ford. Let's try something a bit more grunt to it. Let's go for the Porsche, shall we? Yes, so you can see here we've got these upgrades on. So we've got repairs. Obviously, we don't need to do any repairs at the moment. We have engine upgrades. We can't research engine upgrades until we've driven a certain distance, so I quite like that. That means that the vehicles you actually use will be the ones that will improve on. You can unlock, what have we got? Unlocking the tuning for your team, clutch durability brakes, so basically durability for your cars. You can buy those as well. So there's a few things you can help for longer rallies, I guess, and then the actual engine upgrades themselves, I guess, make your car powerful, does it say? Oh, your performance goes up quite significantly. Durability down. Durability goes down with each time, actually. But yeah, definitely that first one seems like it's the major one. It's quite a huge jump you get there. So let's select that. Let's start the event. And let's take a look at New England, USA. And then we will call it after this thing. Because we've been going about half hour. So yeah, overall, really, really love the game. I mean, I love the Dirt games. I loved the last Dirt game. I love the old Colin McRae games. I love racing games in general. I'm a big fan of rally games. I love using my G27, having a reason to pull it out of the, I was going to say storage, but it actually just sits over there next to the wall. So it's not like it goes far. But having a reason to use it is great. I don't get to use it very often, and I do miss it a little bit. But it's just the fact that it does just seem to be, as I say, crowbarred in. Like I say, I heard they got a third-party company to do it. It was sort of crowbarred into the game a little bit, which you can see like here, this sort of thing. They could have just cut that out, or they could have just had you sat in the car being pulled forward. There's no need to have this weird floating camera thing when you're about to get in the car anyway. You right, buddy? You ready for this? Frame rate seems to be struggling a little. Yeah, it did dip below 60 there.
4, 3, 2, 1, go. 5 right long.
All right, bang and start, bang and start.
4 right of a jumps into don't cut 4 left.
So let's see how I do here. Terrible. It's going to be terrible.
Opens of a crest 30, turn late. Heavy
Oh, wow.
left.
That went really bad, really quick after that. Just for a second, I was like, oh, this might not be too bad. But this is what happens when you have ideas above your station. You can see there again, there's this very washed out look to it. Can we get into the graphics? There was a brightness option. I never really paid attention to it. Well, I suppose, yeah, if we do it so we can just about see that last Dirt Rally icon, that is quite significantly down, isn't it? So maybe...
6 right long.
Oh, that does look...
130.
It looks grittier straight away, doesn't it? It does look grittier straight away, and we do seem to have lost a lot of that wash down. So maybe that just was that. It's weird that it is so washed out then. I mean, the index is, I assume, a fairly standard screen. Like, one index is going to look the same as the other, right? I do seem to have like a weird sort of pulsing in terms of the light. Oh, this thing
6 left long.
spins easy. Did you see that?
5 right long.
I barely touched it, and it's just like,
Into 6
nope,
left of a crest.
360, mate.
80.
There's some fairly distinct pop-up in terms of the trackside vegetation there. Yeah, it does seem to be struggling in terms of frame rate. I can notice.
Left of a crest.
It's always difficult because
Right.
it's strapped to my face. I think it's a lot easier for me to notice
Left. 120.
slight deviations in the frame rate, whereas probably isn't as obvious to you guys watching on a
Caution.
phone or a monitor at home.
Into 6 left. Extra long. Into 6 right. Extra long. Tightness 5.
Extra long. Not just long. Oh no, sir.
5
Again, it just spun. Just likes to spin. What's the... I think I might turn my lights on. It's hard to tell.
right left of a crest. 140.
Don't know if the contrast is like too low now.
Opens through narrow.
Oh, that's a
gate.
corner. That's a corner.
Turn 1 left. Opens through narrow gate.
It's alright, I'll just smash my way through there. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if it's too dark. I might... Where's my pause? I might bump it up a little bit from where it was, because that just seems like it's too much. I mean, it's fine in there. That looks like where it should be in terms of where the left-hand Dirt illumination is. But, yeah, in-game it just looks a little bit too contrasty, for lack of a better term.
120. Cut 6 left of it.
I think that's a bit better. Yeah, the dash looks a little bit more defined now, rather than just a lump of black.
Crest. Extra long. Opens of a crest. 50. Keep flat. Middle of a crest. 100.
Keep flat, he says.
Keep
Ooh, look at that.
jump. 120. Crest. Jump. And 5 right.
I do watch a little bit of,
6 left.
hello?
Cut. 100.
That's always going to go horribly.
100.
I do watch a little bit of a Jimmy Broadbent, who's a YouTuber who does a lot of racing stuff, and I'm a fairly big fan of his, really. I think he's quite entertaining. He's very good at what he does.
70.
And I did watch his video on this last night when I was upset that my video that I recorded was terrible. I did watch his video on it, and he said something which I think is quite a keen thing to point out. If you don't have VR yet, but you are anticipating getting VR to play Dirt 2 or to get into VR sim racing, or just VR racing, I guess, doesn't have to be sim, don't just jump into Dirt 2 straight away. It's going to go really badly for you. Ah, I've got some sort of puncture or something. That's why I'm being particularly bad. I wondered why it's being so bad. I would like to repair.
Opens long.
Oh, it's the other one, isn't it? Repair.
Slow. 6 left.
Yeah, don't just jump in this. Get your VR legs with something that's a bit more sedate. I mean, it's great being in a cockpit like you are in a racing game. That does really help you adjust to VR, but Dirt in particular is so bouncy and quick and jerky that it's probably going to mess you up. So something like Euro Truck Simulator or America Truck Simulator would actually be really good to start off with, because they're a little bit more sedate.
Into 5 right of a crest.
Oh, hello. Oh, so close to the end.
Don't cut. Over finish to stop.
Don't cut. Don't cut. And then it makes you stop up here. Oh, that guy just floated through midair. That's actually a girl now. It was a guy to start with, I'm sure. But yeah, the girl. I keep trying to point. I'm so used to being able to point in VR. I can't in this.
Any setup changes at the next service?
Mate, I want to do a lot to that car, I imagine. We weren't last. Oh, because someone would disqualify. We were 2 minutes behind. I suppose we did do the repair, though, didn't we? Yeah. 1:25 repair. Still leaves us 30 odd seconds behind, doesn't it? So that's not great. It's not great, but there we go. So there we are. That is Dirt 2.0 on the Valve Index. So it works. It is very nice in-game, if quite unoptimized. It's just that the rest of the VR stuff has been a little bit crowbarred in. Having a reset button on your controller is really just... It's VR 101 at this point. For a game like this, where you might be moving around, I'm on a wheeled seat as well, so it's really easy for me to accidentally end up in a slightly different position. Obviously, if you're into these sort of games, we would have a proper racing seat, which I would love to have one day. But yeah, so just a few little, just niggly little things which just aren't quite gelling that well. But the game itself is great, and the racing itself is great, and the VR, once you're actually in the car, is great. It's just a shame, as I said at the beginning, that they didn't immediately, when they started developing Dirt 2, start implementing VR straight away. Start thinking, how can we get VR working in this to the best use of VR? Rather than developing the game and then going to another company and going, oh, can you make this work with VR now? It could have been just a little bit extra special, you know, they could have really just embraced it. So it's a bit of a shame in that regard. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the game itself is very, very good. So, gonna leave that there. As I said before, if you would like to see more, do let me know. If you want to see me attempt a championship, do let me know. I could always just drop over to the controller, so I'm actually not terrible. Or I could just drop the difficulty down to easy, just to give myself a bit of an aid, I guess. And if there's anyone out there who wants to see more but has an idea of how I can be better, or cars that be more suitable, obviously let me know in the comments. I'll be just overjoyed to see them. I don't know where I was going to go with that. I went with overjoyed in the end. It's perfect. If you've enjoyed this video, if you've enjoyed Dirt 2.0, click the like button. That'd be great, wouldn't it? If you just click it, that'd be awesome of you. If you're not subscribed to the channel, feel free to do so, but there's no obligation, obviously. You can watch all my stuff without being subscribed. It would just help me out if you were subscribed, I guess. As I said, questions and comments down below. I do stream on Wednesdays at 6 PM, and I'd just love to see you there to say hello. It would just fill me with joy. It'll be probably the last Monster Hunter World stream this week, and then I'm thinking what we might do is a bit of Surviving Mars afterwards. Seeing as that didn't make it to the channel, I'd quite like to do a bit of Surviving Mars, so maybe that's what I'll do as the next stream game. So if I don't see you there, I'll see you in some other magical adventure, which may be more Dirt 2. As always, thank you very much for joining me.